Well, listen, if you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
It started like a typical segment, but quickly turned into something far more intense. The conversation spiraled into non-stop talking with very little substance, and many viewers felt it reflected a growing disconnect from everyday Americans. The View has long been driven by strong personalities, and Whoopi Goldberg often led those discussions with confidence, cutting off opposing voices and presenting her opinions with authority. But in one unexpected moment, that control seemed to slip, and it all unfolded when Karoline Leavitt entered the conversation. What began as a routine exchange quickly shifted into something far more uncomfortable.
Put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whoopi, as confident as ever, leaned into the discussion as the topic turned to wokeness, a concept often strongly defended on the show. Feeling in control, she took the first shot, delivering a sharp remark suggesting that without that movement, Leavitt wouldn't even hold her position. Instantly, the mood in the room changed. The audience tightened, and even co-host Joy Behar appeared slightly uneasy. What had started as a typical back and forth suddenly felt more serious.
I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good.
Moments like this have become familiar to viewers. Strong opinions, sharp remarks, and predictable exchanges. But this time, something felt different. The tone shifted, and the usual rhythm of the conversation seemed off. It was clear the discussion was about to go in a direction no one fully expected.
In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably biased and they're prejudiced against me.
The tension in the room became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a disagreement. It felt personal. The remark came across as dismissive, questioning not just ideas but credibility and effort. The audience reacted out of habit, but there was a noticeable hesitation beneath the applause. And then came the turning point. Leavitt didn't rush to respond or react emotionally. Instead, she stayed composed, letting the moment settle. That calm response shifted the dynamic. Rather than escalating the argument, she introduced a more structured response, focusing on specific points and challenging the narrative directly. The energy in the room changed again, this time toward uncertainty.
Divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
For some viewers, the contrast stood out. Instead of trading insults, the response leaned into clarity and structure. It created a different kind of moment, less about personality clashes and more about competing perspectives. And that difference is what kept attention locked in.
You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
For a show built on strong personalities and fast-paced exchanges, this moment broke the pattern. The usual flow of interruption and reaction slowed down. The conversation became more controlled, more deliberate, and for perhaps the first time in a while, it felt like the balance of the discussion had shifted. The audience, typically quick to react, seemed unsure. The room grew quieter, and the usual rhythm of the show was disrupted. It wasn't about winning a debate. It was about who could hold the moment.
You know, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Right.
That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say.
For some viewers, this raised broader questions about how conversations are handled on shows like The View. When discussions become repetitive or dismissive, audiences start looking for something different, something more grounded or open. Moments like this highlight how quickly perception can shift when expectations are challenged.
They talk at you, not to you, and that's what she was doing, and she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now.
Yeah.
And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
As clips from the segment spread online, reactions poured in. Social media quickly filled with commentary, reactions, and debates about what had just happened. The moment became bigger than the show itself. It turned into a wider discussion about media, tone, and how public conversations are shaped.
Saw live on this program yesterday. Joy Behar stirring the pot of controversy after saying this about Karoline.
She's probably been putting that because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Do you want to take this?
So you cannot be attractive and smart? I will try to give Joy the benefit, and oh, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing. Because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
For many viewers, what stood out most was the shift in tone. Watching a conversation break away from its usual pattern and move into something more controlled and measured felt different. It wasn't just about what was said, it was about how it was handled.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt worked, I mean, she went to St. Anselm College, she worked for WMUR
Ran
TV.
for Congress?
In New Hampshire, she ran for Congress at the age of 25, put out a very good campaign.
The contrast between styles became a central talking point. One approach leaned on experience and presence, while the other focused on composure and structure. Viewers interpreted that difference in their own ways, but it kept the conversation going well beyond the broadcast.
She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Well, heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Pregnant. Yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives an... And this, again, this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 27 years old, the youngest press secretary ever, and did a terrific job.
Behind the scenes, moments like this often lead to bigger discussions about direction, audience expectations, and the long-term identity of a show. When controversy becomes frequent, it can start to impact how networks and viewers respond. And once that conversation begins, it rarely stays contained.
Yeah.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this.
For some, the moment represented a shift, a sign that audiences are paying closer attention to how discussions unfold, not just what is being said. It showed how quickly dynamics can change when expectations are challenged.
The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our...
Moments like this leave lasting questions. Where does the show go from here? Does it continue the same approach, or does it adapt? One thing is certain. When a single exchange sparks this much attention, it becomes more than just television. It becomes part of a much larger conversation.